Hello, my family. Good morning, Tuesday here, and Guy with you, of course. And I wanted to have a little bit of a real talk with you this morning. And this video is aptly named, why everything you learned is ass backwards. Because as I've continued my study in personal and spiritual development, it has come to my attention that almost everything I've learned that's functional is in direct contrast to what I learned when I was a child, meaning it's literally the exact opposite. So what I thought worked and what actually works are in complete contrast with one another. So I want to talk to that because I don't think we're a broken society, but there's definitely dysfunction, and you don't need to look very far. It's tough to say which statistics are real out there, but I was looking at statistics that say 75% of the American public is taking at least one prescription drug, 50% of the American public is taking at least two prescription drugs. People are taking Oxycontin like crazy, and there's a mass addiction in our public to opiates, which is basically heroin that people are taking. We are giving kids ADD medication, which is equivalent to cocaine. And then we wonder if marijuana is a gateway drug, which seems a little bit strange when we start popping pills in kids' mouths so early and get them so used to taking them out of their paradigm and out of their reality. So I was at a birthday party last night, and there's this movie from a while back where I think it was with Brendan Fraser. It's a stupid comedy movie, but he's hanging out with the devil. It's that really good-looking chick from Austin Powers, and they're at a kid's birthday party, and the kid doesn't say the birthday wish, and the devil looks at Brendan Fraser and says, "I did that." And we were at a birthday party last night with a friend of mine. We were having dinner, and over the last year, I've gotten really committed to people actually saying their birthday wish, and I'm going to explain to you why I believe that, and we're going to talk about some cool concepts here, especially how we as humans, how our brains view and work with reality, at least two ways, and the third one's a little bit more philosophical. I'll leave that one out of this conversation. So here are the two ways that we test reality, and then I want to introduce you to a concept so you start understanding how it is that you operate inside of your environment, okay? So here are the two ways that humans test their reality. So the first one is through our five senses. If we could touch it, if we could see it, smell it, hear it, all that stuff, we assume that that thing is real. But look at your own experience and tell me that at some point you thought you saw something, you went and investigated it and it wasn't actually there, or you thought you heard something, you turn around, there's nothing there, and we can do this all day long. So not a great test for reality because it lets you down pretty often. Second important test for reality to know is that humans view a test of reality through agreement. So if a lot of people agree on something, it must be true. But again, as we look throughout our history, with the world being the center of the universe, with the earth being flat as being kind of major examples of that, we could see that later on, as we've investigated further, that agreement is not holding water, is not true. And how often in society, when things are happening, that we look at and say, oh, well, everybody thinks that's a good idea, or everybody wants to do that, I guess that's true. Again, not a great test for reality, right? So if that's the case, when you're meeting people and you guys shake hands or say hello or hug or embrace or however it is in your culture you say hello, you might find that you start asking each other questions. And the reason we interact this way is because the way that humans transmit information, download and upload information to one another, is through storytelling, right? So we tell each other stories. Now, what these stories transmit to each other is lessons about that person. If I tell you a story about my upbringing or about food that I like or experiences that I had, and one experience makes me smile and the other experience makes me cringe, what you're getting programmed in is, here's what Guy likes, here's what Guy doesn't like, here's what you can say around Guy, here's what you can't say around Guy, this pisses him off, this makes him happy, all that kind of stuff, right? And over time, we train each other. And that's what we do. So when you step into your environment, as you meet people, your parents, your friends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, this is your network, right? So by having conversations with those people, you are training that network to deal with you in a specific way. And then the funny part is that oftentimes after we train our environment, and we're the ones responsible, by the way, for that training, we then get in an argument with that environment in the way in which it chooses to view us, even though we're the ones that gave them that view. which is kind of a funny thing. And then we start taking personal development classes to figure out how to change ourselves so that we can change our environment, and it gets all really crazy. And one of the reasons that transformation doesn't stick for so many people is because of this. They'll go take a class or they'll go have an experience, and they will absolutely have a transformative moment. They'll have a thought like, I'm never going to do that again, or I'm going to start doing this, and I'm going to commit it to this. I'm going to, get a coach, and they're going to hold me accountable, and all this kind of stuff. So here you are coming out of this class, right? 3 days later, you feel completely different. You do a Tony Robbins course, whatever. And then you step out into your environment, and we have this thing called an ego, which believes that everybody's somehow having our experience and can like see everything that we think and feel and all these kind of things. So you feel really transformed. You walk out into your environment with your chest puffed out a little bit, you're walking a little bit straighter. And, you go see your mom or whatever it is, and somebody in your network, and they treat you the way they've always treated you, because that's what they know. That's how you train them. And suddenly you look out into your environment, and there seems to be no agreement for this new you, for this new transformation. And slowly, or even quickly, you start thinking to yourself, well, we test reality through agreement. There is no agreement in my network for my transformation. And you immediately start doubting yourself, and you start thinking, well, maybe that really wasn't true. Maybe that really didn't happen. And that doubt creeps in and starts pulling you back to the way that you were before. And this is the issue. And I'll go back to what I was saying about the birthday wish, is that, here we are celebrating someone's birth, which is always a pretty joyous occasion. And what we've learned over time is you don't say your birthday wish to people or it won't come true. So I want you to think about that superstition, because most beliefs that we have as humans are really just that. They're superstitions that we've been telling ourselves for a long time. And as a society, we agree upon them. And because of that, we choose to act a specific way in accordance with that. Now, from what I know about the power of creation, the power of word, and the power of the network of conversations, and how you can use enrollment to transform your network, so that when you step out into your environment and you do have a transformative moment, and if you don't share that with your environment, guess what? You're not retraining them to see the new you. And because of that, the transformation doesn't come to pass, because you're not using this phenomenon to your advantage. And the phenomenon is just share your transformation, retrain those people to view you in the new way you want to be seen. And then the more you share with your environment, the more you'll find that there is now suddenly agreement for your transformation, and your transformation becomes wildly natural to have. Super easy, right? And that's, honestly guys, that's how transformation works. You got to share it. For a lot of you guys, you're like, well, I've done that before. Well, I would then at least assert that you're probably not sharing, you're probably complaining in your environment about something. And if you're complaining about your environment, you generally tend to just reignite old patterns over and over again, right? Because that's how people hear complaints. So it's really important to hear the difference between sharing about something and complaining about something. Complaining is with the intent to keep things in place, even if that's not your intention. When you share, it's to like transform, to let go, to kind of clear out your energy field, all this kind of different stuff. So this is just one example of things that have been passed down through our lineage, whether you believe in the conspiracy theory and there's a cabal out there who's manipulating everything, or whether it's just misinformation that's been passed down through generations, of people who really weren't given the possibility to look at how to operate differently in this world. I don't really know which one of those is true. I don't know if we'll ever find out which one of those is true. But again, as I've dealt deeper into developmental work, into spiritual work, I have found that pretty much everything that I learned as a child, and my parents are amazing fucking people, but everything that I learned as a child didn't make me happy and didn't give me space for possibility to show up in my life. In fact, it shut it down over and over again. And this is why we have a medicated society. This is why we have depression running wild. There is a massive opium addiction in America right now that nobody is talking about. People who are addicted to painkillers. Right now, the biggest opportunity for Big Pharma right now is medicine that makes people go poop, because so many people are having problems going poop because of all the fucking opiates that they're taking, right? Guys, that's insane. So when I was 19 years old, I had what I call my awakening, right? Because I started learning about these principles and concepts And it didn't take me a long time to completely transform the paradigm in which I was living in. And for those of you guys who know my story or don't, spent 7 years in massive depression, suicidal thoughts, endlessly physically abusing myself. Not a pleasant thing, right? Like literally about as shitty as you can feel about yourself, I felt that way. Today, it couldn't be a bigger contrast. It's amazing. But I'm telling you right now, from going from feeling that low to completely shifting my paradigm took me 1 second. 1 second of realization, okay? And in that moment, when that smile hit my face, and when literally I walked out into the world and no longer recognized my reality, and I went out the next day and I saw sun for the first time, and God didn't even notice how long. The trees literally changed colors for me. It was higher than high, okay? So I've been there. I get it. But I immediately had this vision at that time of a world of people who had learned these principles, these concepts, and had these experiences. And I thought to myself, you know what, if somebody, I was 19 years old at the time and I needed to get a job, and that was the stress in my life. So I imagined walking down the street at that time. And I imagined if I could identify people like me who had had this experience, and I knew what that person stood for. I knew what kind of morals that person would have. I knew their wanting to be of service. And I imagined that I was like on a way to a job interview, and I was wearing my suit and I was walking through New York City, and I could somehow identify this person, and I'm dealing with the stress of going on an interview, right? Because I'm scared and I'm young and I don't know what to do. And my brother and I have learned over the years this thing called clearing exercises, and that's what sharing does. It allows you to clear, basically. So it's like you grab somebody and you take a few minutes and you say, here's what I'm upset about right now, here's what I'm scared about right now, right? Again, not the intention to complain, the intention to share in order to release. And it's called clearing. And what clearing does is it creates space, because until you acknowledge that something is going on, just like they say in like AA and stuff like that, like the first step is admitting it, right? So if I, for instance, like if I get on stage and I'm nervous when I go talk on stages, I always acknowledge that I'm nervous. It's the first thing I do. I step up there and I say, hey guys, super excited to be here. Just want to let you know I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm going to let that go. And if I didn't say that, I would spend the entire time on stage trying to cover up that I'm nervous so that people wouldn't know, so they would get some impression of me that I'm like this superhuman person. But the moment I acknowledge the nerves start going away, right? Because now I don't have to hide that anymore. It's out of the bag. Like now we're all like, okay, he's nervous, great. Let's get over it. It's done. So I imagine walking up to this person like on this New York City street and saying, hey man, can you like, or woman, whatever, it doesn't matter. Could you stop for a second? I need to clear something. And that's what this person would be committed to, that if somebody stopped them on the street, they give them 2 minutes of their time, 2 minutes of their listening, they get super present, and they go, yeah, go ahead. And I would just clear. I would just say like, look, I'm about to go on a job interview. It's a big deal. I'm young, I'm nervous, I'm inexperienced. I don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm afraid they're going to listen to me that way. And I'm not committed to that. I want to go in there and create, that I'm powerful, that I'm articulate, that they really genuinely see who I am, and that they know that I care, and that I'm going to make a big difference for this organization, right? And that's what I want to create. So until that clearing happens, you don't even have space to create. You're just putting whipped cream on a shit pie. Like clearing it out is getting rid of all that stuff. It's acknowledging that energy that's in the body that needs to go somewhere, it needs to clear, it needs to go. And you can do that through meditation, you can do that through language, but this is a simple practice to do with speaking. And as you guys know, I've studied language and its effect on human beings for a long time. I've studied phenomenology for a long time. These phenomenons that are happening to you every single day. It's just so, so important. Okay. So a few things that I need right now. Number one is feedback, because I've had that world vision for a long time. And as I've done ayahuasca ceremonies and journeys, this becomes a recurring theme for me about me giving this extremely impassionate speech to the human race. If you guys have seen that Charlie Chaplin movie, The Dictator, there's just the most amazing speech that just touches me to my core. That's about 4 minutes long that I literally want to learn verbatim because I want to speak that speech when I do speeches. So in that speech, I keep having visions of doing something really similar on a global scale, and I intend to. And I am very, very interested in starting a movement that would help us to identify people that stand for a specific code. I need to get clear on this code, but I can tell you that it has to do with living life in integrity in every area of your life. That means health, relationships, wealth, whatever is important to you, living at integrity at every single level of life. You have a moral code. and not an obligation, but a wanting and a deep desire to be of service to your fellow man. Guys, we are in this together. We really are. And we will die if we continue to divide ourselves and believe that we're not. We are a single entity showing up as infinite possibility. It's so important that we understand that it's not just bullshit that we're saying. So, when I gave you that, guys, that concept of network of conversation, you're at the center of that, right? And in that center, before you're transformed, let's say you're a circle, and so is your network. It's all these different circles. After you transform yourself, you become a triangle. When I first learned this is the example that I got. And then as a triangle, you step out into an environment that has apathy and resignation and all these things that make you doubt your transformation. But as you share your transformation, you make transformation available for other people. And they slowly become triangles also. And I wrote an article a while back and called it the Red Triangle Army, except I don't like the color red and I don't like the word army. So it's not really empowering for me, but I'm looking for some kind of language that we can use, whether it's like blue triangle tribe or something. And I'd love your feedback here. There's a bunch of you online watching right now. I'd love your feedback about ideas that you have about what we could call this. And here's what I'd like to do. I've seen, like in any relationship, right? Like life is all about relationships, relationship to self, relationship to people, relationship to society, relationship to health. It's all relationships. You want to be healthy? Study relationships. Study how they work. Study how you can empower yourself inside of relationships, how you can empower other people inside of relationships. So on a global scale, we have a relationship to our history that as quickly as we create it, we seem to fucking forget it also. And there are moments throughout our history, like World War II, like what Hitler did, that are relationships that have strained us for a long time because we have no spiritual leadership on this planet at all teaching us how to heal. We have politicians. We barely even have scientists at the highest level. We don't have educators at the highest level. So we have a very imbalanced society in terms of who's leading us right now. And things like Hitler have left scars on our relationship as a society that we're not healing from. Now, Hitler, maniac possibly, genius possibly, I don't know, I guess it depends on how you want to view it, did something that altered the world significantly for a very long period of time. Now, we could leverage that kind of movement, but do it in the opposite direction and create a movement for peace and love and prosperity and unity and all those things, applying the same exact principles. Now, I am all committed for power, freedom, and full self-expression. I bet that you are too, right? Now, if you can't use your body in a specific way, then that means you can never be fully self-expressed. So when you look at things like standing too erect or using your legs a certain way, like maybe the way the Nazis did, or you put your arm up the wrong way, like the Nazis did, guess what? I don't know about you guys, but when I do that, I have shame in my body. I'm get that shit away from me, right? Because there's nothing but shame around stuff like that. So does that sound like we've healed from stuff like that? Not to me. Now, imagine that we did the work as a society to heal ourselves from that. And the reason I'm saying all this is because my movement, what I want to create, don't be sad, Bonnie. This is good stuff. I think you just missed the context of the beginning of it, right? So, I want to create a movement, a radical movement. And what this means is not everybody has to join. It doesn't have to be about wars, about us versus them, or any of that stuff. I don't care. You want to bring your spirituality? Bring it. You want to bring your religion? Bring it. I'll show you how to get deeper into all that stuff, right? But if we want to identify one another, when we wear symbols, it's so important. Why do we have flags? Why do we live strong? Why do we have all these things? Because humans believe in symbology. It moves us. So I want to do what he did. I want to put an armband on so that I can identify these people, but I want to put it on without being ashamed of it, without having memories of a past that's disgusting. That requires some healing. So whatever this movement is going to be, and again, I'd love your help finding a name for it that would really motivate people. But again, I'm going to write an indoctrination that is basically this is what it stands for if you're going to put this on your body. That means if you're walking down the street and there's a person there with a flat tire, you stop and you help them. That means if you see somebody in pain, you ask them if they need help, or if somebody can stop you on the street and say, I need 2 minutes of your time. I need to clear. I'm really fucking nervous right now, or I'm really scared right now, or I'm in trouble right now. And instead of having services like 911, That's our entire society. Family, guys. That's what family is, right? You call family when you need something. So if we had something to identify it, I would wear it because I am that kind of person. And I know a lot of you guys who are watching this right now who are hitting the little hearts are too. So I would love, love, love your help in finding a voice for this movement. And I'm very much committed to getting it started like today, like right now. And you can be that person right now, whether or not you wear that symbol today. But you can make a commitment to be that kind of human for other people. And I've done this stuff for years. And I want to tell you this, like, if you want to start destroying your ego, I think a lot of people are extremely kind and want to do well by people, but they get affected by wanting to be seen when they do kind things because the ego always wants acknowledgement constantly. A small little practice you could take on is do something every day that's super kind, or it doesn't have to be that big. Like I go to the gym every day, the basin is like soaked every fucking day. Nobody does anything about it. And every day all that stuff gets on the ground and gets watery and stuff. Every day I go in there and I clean it and I dry it off for everybody. And I always make sure that nobody can see me do it. Like every day, just do something kind for somebody that they can't see. You will just feel good. It won't be about your fucking ego. Guys, and it just starts from there and just roll it out. So again, please help me with that. I would really, really love to find a name. Any suggestions you have, drop them in the comment box here. And lastly, Elon and I are putting together an event here in San Diego. You can go to youwillhaveitall.com to learn more about it. We are taking applications. I'll be perfectly honest with you because I'm just not a bullshit kind of person. It's at the end of June. We don't have a lot of time to get people in there, and we're looking at possibly postponing it to put it at a later date because personally, like, our workload is just insane right now. So it's possible that it's going to be at the end of June. We're looking today at calling the hotel and seeing if they're flexible with the dates. If not, it's going to be on June 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It's all planned already and organized. So we'll see what happens with that. And if you are interested in coming, right now we're just taking applications and we like to find people who we feel are a good fit over there. Guys, and this is the kind of training that we're talking about. I want to hit it on every level. Language, cognitive, spiritual. Like, let's get healthy. Let's get well. Let's become a family together, guys. Like, this is no time in history like right now. We can communicate this stuff to the planet. 4 billion people are coming online in the next 5 to 10 years. We can transform the planet. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I love you. YouWillHaveItAll.com if you're interested. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Take care.